This video covers a backpack along the beautiful Coker Creek with lots of rapids and wildflowers. Before and after the backpack, I looked for and finally found Fort Armistead, located on the Unicoi Turnpike, parts of which were known as the Trail of Tears, shown here, which was used to move the Cherokees to Oklahoma. For the backpack, I spent a little time at Unicoi Gap and the Unicoi Turnpike Trail, which this is the gap. The Bent McKay Trail comes down that ridge there and crosses and goes up, back up the ridge. Up the trail, just a short ways, is a junction. The Bent McKay Trail goes to the left, and to the right is the somewhat historic Unicoi Turnpike Trail, which was the way the pioneers, early settlers, went over the mountain here. And you can see down there, it's whether it was cut out or just by use, there's kind of a trench with ridges on both sides. Also, the Trail of Tears, the Indian Trail of Tears, I think came over this trail going down to places where they gathered the Indians and took them, forced them out to Oklahoma. So, a historic place. The most prominent peak around Unicoi Gap is Peel's High Top, the mountain shown right there. Along the Unicoi Turnpike Trail, somewhere down in the valley there, are the ruins of Fort Armistead, a fort that was built in connection with the Trail of Tears. Well, I ran into a lady walking on this road up that way, and she told me about this road that might be the road to Fort Armistead. Kind of looks like what I have on the map. So I'm going to walk up it a ways and see what I find. Well, I think I've discovered the old Unicoi Turnpike route and the Trail of Tears route. There are no signs or anything, but it matches the information I have, particularly the berms the Forest Service built and then had to remove because they were changing the trail. Here's the creek at below Fort Armistead, where the soldiers probably got their water. Next, I did a backpack along Coker Creek. This is a GPS track going from right to left. It's just a little after 4:30. I'm getting started late, obviously, but I'm at the trailhead for the Coker Creek Falls Trail that goes down along a bunch of waterfalls to the Hiwassee River from this trailhead right there. And here's Coker Creek. The falls are on down a ways. Pretty gentle here. And the trail is really right beside the creek. It's a great couple of days for backpacking. Around 80 degrees daytime, around 60 tonight, I think. Same for tomorrow. So for me, it's a good time to be backpacking. And I was wondering if I would see any wildflowers. And amazingly, within 100 feet, right there is some crested dwarf iris. One of my favorites. And here are some close-up photographs of some of the flowers I saw. First, the Dwarf Crested Iris, then the Catesby's Trillium, and finally a violet. And shortly the falls began. They're a series of ledges, really, that go down for a good ways. There's a big ledge there, but an even bigger one right there. fairly recently there's been a fire along the gorge and along the trail here. It did not burn the trees, doesn't seem like, just along the ground. The trail almost acted as a fire break in a lot of places along here. I'm way above the creek now, and the cascades continue, although the really big ones are maybe a third of a mile or so below the trailhead, but as you can hear, they continue on down the valley. And after climbing a bit, the trail's not easy. Now I'm heading pretty much downhill. Well, after around an hour of hiking with lots of stops and pretty tough hiking for my old legs, I am at the campsite. I saw it on a YouTube video that Brian DeLay did, and it looked pretty good for a solo trip. He camped by himself here too a few weeks ago, and this is it. Right beside Coker Creek, nice fire ring, lots of down trees for wood, great spot. Well, I'm pretty beat and taking a quick rest before setting up camp. I've got about 2 hours of daylight, maybe a little more, and got to get going. Great spot though. I'm glad Brian did the video about it. The trees, fresh olive green, whatever leaves up there coming out. Really beautiful. The afternoon sun is lighting up the other side of the creek. Well, here's the ramen bomb. It's actually pretty good. I really like the Fritos. I'm not sure about the salsa, but overall, a great dish. And I've got a fire going. It's getting a little cooler. It was 81 a while ago, but it's going down to 60 or something, a little below tonight, but not bad at all. Well, I've got a nice fire for sure. Roaring creek over there, and frogs are croaking just down the way there. And another surprise, up there is a full moon. Well, no, maybe not full, but it looks full moon. There it is. It's hard to get a picture of it. Anyway, very nice moon coming. It's around 8 o'clock. Hot water is boiling, getting ready to boil for breakfast. Great night. Just about perfect. I love my Neil Thermarest Neil thick, full-length mattress. And so I had a good night's sleeping, and really quiet except for the roaring of the creek down there. And I would recommend this campsite for sure. Fire's out. And there's the source of the murmuring rapids that helped me sleep last night. It's much more placid down here than just below the trailhead, but still some nice rapids. On down a couple miles or so is the Benton-McCott Trail, and then beyond that, third of a mile or so is the Hiwassee River. It was 81 high yesterday or so. This morning when I got up, it was 64. And breakfast, oatmeal, breakfast bar, hot chocolate, and for that some Crystal Light orange juice. Around 8:45, there comes the sun. Well, I'm doing the Boy Scout thing and leaving some firewood in the fire ring for the next campers. This is an interesting new app I have on my cell phone. It produces a video, a moving video of the hiking route, and this one is showing my route going out from right to left. The fire was a pretty big one, burned all along this trail pretty much. This is really strange, well off to the side of the trail, and there's no flat spots at all for camping, but somebody spent some time here as there's a very nice fire ring there. And even stranger, above the fire ring up there is evidence of somebody sawing a big log in the middle of nowhere. There's no trail, no reason to saw it, but there it is. Maybe they were practicing. Here the fire jumped the trail, one of the few places where it did, and got down below the trail, but didn't go all the way down to the creek. This is kind of the beginning of the really good falls. From here you can see at least a third of a mile of falls, starting with that one, which is the first, and then on up to way up there. And that's not too far from the trailhead, I think. I'm seeing a lot more today than I saw yesterday. Just off the trail is this cave almost, a really great place to get out of the rain. No sign of a fire or really anybody being here, except there's a faint trail up to it. The trail is not easy, lots of ups and downs. Here, at least there's some nice stairs to get you up high. This is the falls I had a video of earlier and said was about a third of a mile up the trail. I think this is the end of the big falls. I started from the campsite around 9, and it's taken me something under an hour and a half to go less than a mile to the trailhead, but there's so much to see. The wildflowers and the waterfalls and even the cave. And I'm on the easy stretch of it now. You can barely hear the creek here at the trailhead compared to down below, because it's much slower and none of the big rapids. And right there is the trailhead. In finishing up this trip, I would like to comment that we are really fortunate in East Tennessee to have places like this where you can go and there's not a soul out here. I was at least 2 miles from anybody last night. I haven't seen anybody from start to finish, and there's nobody at the trailhead. That's unusual. I just finished reading an article in National Geographic about population problems throughout the world, and particularly China. And a lot of places don't have what we have here. I stopped at the Coker Creek Visitor Center, and a really helpful guy who had just moved here from Michigan, but they had some books by archaeologists in North Carolina had done a book on Fort Armistead, and they had a map, and the map got me to right here, which is and not far from the visitor center, but it's a gated Forest Service road, and I think it's just down here. We'll see. Well, after a quarter mile or so, There's an opening in the woods here, and well, security post there. There's a camera at the top of it. And then you can see a cleared area going off to the left there, and then off to the right. And it looks like it maybe makes a circle around, the cleared area makes a circle around where the fort was. Here's the only depiction of Fort Armistead that I've been able to find, apparently done by soldiers stationed at the fort. There's the security camera. And so the fort was in that middle area straight ahead with the trees and kind of grown up. They obviously haven't excavated it very much, doesn't look like. Kind of on top of a knoll. Well, this is the site of the fort right there. No archaeological evidence at all, but it was here. Pretty sure the trail that came down was over there, and then it makes a loop around the area I'm looking at. So the fort was in the middle here. And there is a big drop off on this side. So it is clearly on a knoll, which is always good for defensive purposes. The road probably came up to this. If I'd kept going on that road I was on yesterday, old road, it would have led to right here. Well, there is a deep hole, so whether that's from excavations or by archaeologists, or maybe the well for the fort. There's a creek, of course, down that way. It's interesting to think about the history that has gone on here. The soldiers building the fort, and then the Cherokee Indians being unwillingly brought here and on their way to Oklahoma. Some real tragedy in the history of this place for sure. So that's probably the Unicoi Turnpike road there, coming from where I was yesterday, coming up to this point, and right by the fort. Fort is right there. The old fort was there, and the road continues on down the other side, so it came right beside the fort.